In this video, traders, we're going to look at tips for increasing your trading size. Stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. All right, so this was a question from a subscriber. I appreciate you taking the time to write this. It was Elias Weber, and he said, if you could do an informative video on progressing to manage bigger risks, then I would be happy. You do great trading videos. Appreciate that, thank you, and cover all of the topics. This was the closest I could find. So he's written a comment in one of the videos and kind of trying to find the one that's closely related. I'm trying to go from being a slightly profitable trader with small size to one who can manage bigger positions. If you have any tips on this, then I would greatly appreciate it. All right, so thank you for your comment, and thank all of you guys for your comments, subscriptions, likes, shares, etc. It is much appreciated. All right, so this is the question: tips for increasing your trading size. So I'm going to hold my hands up here and say, guys, this is probably one of the bigger things that personally in my trading journey has been a struggle. You know, I've got to points where I've shown consistent good profitability over a long period of time with not much kind of damage to accounts. And I've been through phases where I've successfully increased trading size. I've had to go back when that strategy is not working, as it kind of always does. I've been through more phases probably when I've tried to increase size and I've always kind of hit a barrier and I've had to back off, and I've kind of gone, well, that's still okay. I want to go to the next level there. But you get to a point where you find a little bit of a barrier there, and that challenge of kind of hopping over that has always been interesting for me, shall we say. But it's a never-ending journey, guys. We all on our own we're on our own journeys of trading. We'll have our own kind of things, but I'd say this is probably one of the ones that has been more challenging for me than anything else. So take what I say with a pinch of salt. Maybe you're better off getting some advice from someone who's kind of gone very, very quickly up to that significant size and is doing, 100 million plus or whatever level you think is a good size. So number one, be mentally prepared for a drawdown. So in other words, I don't know why this happens, but nearly always when you increase your size, the drawdown will come. So you've got a good equity curve, and it might just be because of the cycles of your equity curve, right? The strategy is working very well, and generally we increase size when our strategy is working. That'll be another point in a second, but we increase our size when our strategy is working, and then we draw down and we're in the bigger size, and it's a bit more damaging to the equity curve than it would be if we draw down with a smaller size. And that can become a little bit of a kind of nibble away in our mind. So just be aware of that. Just say, listen, I'm increasing my size. What's now my max risk on the day, on the week, whatever it may be per trade? And once you've got that and you've accepted that, and go, right, well, I'm prepared to sit through that. Yes, I am, because it may well happen. And then you're not then trading from emotion, because the trouble you've got when you're increasing size, of course, is that it can trigger emotions much quicker. Imagine if you're in a trade and you're normally up, let's say $2,000 on the trade, and now you're up, say $4,000 on a trade on the same kind of move, and that's potentially made it a lot less likely for you to run the trade, because maybe the $4,000 profit is something you want to grab because that was $4,000, whereas 2 might be the level where it's 2's okay. And the same with the loss. Let's say the loss is $1,000. Well, I'm not too bothered about that. It's fine. I'm happy to take $1,000 hit. But now it goes to 2. There's always that point, isn't there, where it becomes meaningful. And I could say the scale could be huge. Like, you care about $1 loss on a trade, and you couldn't care less. Do you care about $100,000 loss on a trade? Yes, of course you do. So somewhere in the middle is that level where you go from not caring to caring. So that's a challenge you've got when you're increasing your size, is you want to kind of increase it as much as you can, but not to a point where it affects your decision making. So we'll get to that in a moment. I've kind of jumped the gun a bit. Number 2 is showing evidence of success first. And it goes without saying that obviously you've got to show profitability over a consistent, or not necessarily consistent, but over a prolonged period of time. So a decent profitability, you've got to have some handle on the kind of drawdowns that you'll face in that time cycle, some kind of idea of what would happen if you increase the size. Because the danger you've got is if you have, let's say, a couple of months of profitability with not much drawdown, and then you increase the size, if you're coming to a drawdown now, you don't really know what the recovery is like in your equity curve. You don't really know how it affects your equity curve and how it affects you. Whereas if you've gone through a few months of profitability, 3 or 4 months, then maybe you've had a drawdown for a couple of weeks or even a month, and then you've pushed back up. At least you've got some reference point and say, well, the drawdown was X. If I increase the size, assuming with that drawdown, how would it affect me? So you're not, again, looking at things blindly. And also, obviously, preferably, a way of transitioning from strategy and knowing when a strategy is not working. So you've had a good run of the strategy, starts to not work, have you got a kind of formula in place that allows you to stop trading that when it doesn't start working, or shift strategies. Number 3, do it slowly. So a big mistake you can make, and I made this kind of the first time I tried to do this, was just going too much, trying to trade too much size. So not necessarily straight away, but very often like more. So you might start off at a specific size, add some more, and then you trade it for a week, add some more. Before you know it, in that month, you've kind of dramatically increased your size. And that's not really the way to do it. The way to do it is to do it in steps. Stay at that step for a while. So if you've got your size here, increase your size, stay at that step for a while, and then look and redevelop, and then increase your size, rather than this kind of thing. Because this kind of thing ends up hitting you pretty hard, pretty quickly. So do it slowly, and then also in increments as well, small increments. So if you're trading, let's say with spread betting, £10 a point, or you're trading 10 contracts, if you're a futures trader, don't go to 20, don't go to 15, just go to 11 or 12 or something like that, and just kind of increase it slowly. Number 4, have a plan in place to go back. So what I mean is, don't be afraid to roll back. If things aren't working out for whatever reason and it just can't find it, then just roll back again. Go back to the size you were, and then have a plan to go move forward again. Sometimes that's the best thing, and that's worked for me a lot, is that I've increased my size, and then I've kind of found that I'm not quite trading the same way. The results aren't quite the same. You think, is it the size, is it the market? And if you're unsure, just dial it back, because I always like to play defense and protect my capital rather than kind of just pushing forward. Yes, there's a time and a place for being aggressive, and I've talked in other videos about certain setups and stuff where you can really get aggressive. But in terms of protecting your broader capital, you don't really want to be stepping forward if it's actually causing you to trade poorly. You need to find the reasons for that. So be careful about being okay with stepping back again and trying it again maybe the next month or next couple of weeks or next quarter or whatever. Number 5, and make a checklist to ensure you're still trading in the same way. So a checklist or comparing journals. So new size journal, old size journal. Am I still executing in the same way? Yes, I am. So then if that's the case, then it's possibly the market conditions as opposed to your effectiveness. Because what you can do is, when you're increasing size, and we'll look at this anyway, guys, we'll go to number 6 and we'll talk about this together. So number 6, ensure you don't trade your P&L. What you can start to do is, when you increase your size, you start to be focusing too much on that P&L, and you start to reference that to kind of day-to-day life stuff. You're like saying, oh, that's a small family hatchback or whatever it may be, as a television, or as this. You start automatically referencing that money. So you've got to be sure that you are not trading your P&L. I mean, that's a golden rule anyway. You don't want to be having your P&L up on the screen. You don't want to be seeing that tick up and down, because that causes us to trade emotionally. So make sure you're not doing that. And then when you're increasing the size, you want to make sure that you're not trading the P&L, because it can be like, well, I know that that's 10k up, or I know that that's X amount up, and so I want to take that. Whereas in reality, if you're trading smaller size, you'd probably hold it for the last little bit, because that's the correct thing to do with the trade. And so you've got to be careful, guys, when you're increasing size, that you increase it just enough that you're still executing exactly the same way that you were in your profitable manner with your smaller size, but not too much that you start to change the way that you trade, because you're trading based on how much money you can make or how much money you can lose, as opposed to the effectiveness of the strategy and the trade. So those are my thoughts, guys. Like I say, I'm probably not the expert on this. This is the kind of thing that I really focus on and trying to do better. However, this is my thought on it, and let me know your thoughts on it, guys, in the comment section below. Perhaps somebody out there can say, hey, I've done this and it worked really, really well. We'll be all interested to hear what you've got to say. All right, guys, take care. See you next one. Bye-bye.